And we are back from the Zoom meeting woes. And Gordon and I were talking about it while we were gone briefly. It seems that it happens primarily when we have a third person. So apparently the Zoom for poor people allows two people to go indefinitely, but once you bring a third person to the party, they want to hit you with time limits. So Vinnie, thank you for sticking around with us for a little bit longer. Let me ask you a question. I was listening to your latest episode of the Fitness Confidential podcast today, and I found it interesting that Gordon brought up his desire to get back into mountain biking because that was one of the things that you were talking about on your latest episode. And something we can all relate to is knee problems. And you do these crazy ultra bike rides were like 500 miles, give or take?
Yeah, I've gone well over 500, 600 mile races, and of course the mountain bike versions of that would, the ultra distance length is usually 24 hours on a mountain bike, just circling up and down the mountain, and yeah, I did that for a lot of years. As a matter of fact, Gordon was mentioning Big Sky, Montana. I would go up there, and it was in the early days before. What's that hoity-toity place where all the super mega rich people live?
Oh,
Vale?
Yellowstone Club with the
The Yellowstone
horrible,
Club.
the horrible tagline of private powder.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I used to be able to because I had a client that lived in there, so they would let me through the gate, and I would like ride my bike up and then go up through there and then go around to the Big Sky area and moonlight something on the other side, and then for my flat part of my ride, I would just go through Yellowstone Park, just all the way through, like 60 miles through, and then turn around and come back. I would do training camps up there because it was so gorgeous and so great, and just love that area of the world.
Yeah, it's one of a kind.
Every now and then, I would end up with knee problems, especially in races.
Well, that's what I was going to
Um,
ask you. You were saying you get to like mile 100 and your knee would just freeze up on you, and yet you didn't let that demotivate you. It actually happened at 2 or 3 races, but now you realize that that's a potential. And so instead of doing what most of us would do, which, as Gordon was stating earlier, use as an excuse not to do the event, you were talking to a friend of yours who owns a bike shop, and you guys are going to work with that issue and figure out a way to adjust your equipment to accommodate it and or to try to prevent that.
yeah, it would be nice if it would happen at mile 100, but and then you could go, okay, I'm only 100 miles into a 600-mile race, I can get out.
Yeah.
But it would always happen to me at mile three or
Oh,
400,
geez.
and you got all those miles behind you. You've already gone through a whole night and the next day, and then all of a sudden, this knee thing crops up from this overuse. And over the years, I had a theory, because I am an exercise physiologist, that it had to do with the crank length um, on my bikes. And, of course, I use the same crank length on every bike. You want to keep everything the same. And I'm using what the industry tells you should use. And I started thinking about it. It's like, well, if you go from 175 centimeters down to 165, you take a whole centimeter away. But when you're talking about a circle that your foot is going in to make that crank move, 1 centimeter becomes a lot less when you amortize that over the fact that you're doing it tens of thousands of times in a race, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking to maybe fix it that way. I'm talking to people. This guy contacted me. He listens to the podcast. He owns a bike shop. He's getting me in touch with the folks over at Seven Cycles. Um, they make these incredible titanium frames, but more so than that, they will make a frame to exactly what will fit you. So I'm not interested in just their titanium. They can make it out of steel as far as I'm concerned. I'm not interested in the material. I'm interested in just the degrees of the angles and everything else to get it right, so that I can then do some of these races again without getting hurt.
Well, and that's one thing I learned late in life. I'm 6'5", and it wasn't until recently that I bought me one of these mountain bikes. Well, it's a hybrid bike. It's a street bike, but it kind of has the front shocks and all that. But the thing looks like it's made for shack. It's huge. It almost looks like a crotch rocket without the engine, because prior to that, I would just hop on any bike that I thought was tall enough, not realizing I'm leaning over improperly. I'm hurting my lower back. I'm trying to make myself fit on this bike. My knees are almost hitting my chest as I'm riding because they were always too small for me. And so it wasn't until recently that I actually paid attention when buying the bikes and, oh, here's one for 6'2" and over. And the thing's huge, but it does. My lower back don't hurt so bad. You know, it's more comfortable to ride. You get more longevity, more endurance, and you use the bike more opposed to buying something, you know, that's not fit for you and it's going to cause you pain and you're not going to want to use it. It's a bad investment.
Who makes that bike?
It's just, be honest with you, it's just a shitty Schwinn from Walmart, but it's huge. It's a Goliath because it was too long to fit in the bed of my Tacoma. Now that I have a Tundra, it'd probably fit, but it's a pretty damn big bike. But I'm not riding all the time. I throw it into my routine just to split things up. And I wanted to ask you, as somebody who runs 3 or 4 times a week, should I be taking magnesium or your salt pills? Because I know you kind of guys have a 2-a-day thing going. For example, I ran 3.5 miles tonight. Yesterday, I live here in town. I have the luxury of being familiar with Morgan Moose from American Ninja Warrior. He lives not too far from me. I was out working on his equipment yesterday, trying to get my grip strength up and my upper body strength ready for a Savage race I'm doing. But on average, I run 3 to 4 days a week, anywhere between 3 to 5, 6 miles each time. Should I be taking salt pills, especially with the heat down here in Florida?
Well, you mentioned magnesium first. Everyone should be taking magnesium. We're all not getting enough magnesium in our diet anymore. So by definition, everyone should take more magnesium. And I always throw on top of that, take it at night. Take it at night because, you get the added benefit of it relaxes you and you can fall asleep.
I definitely need that.
And then when it comes to salt, you're down in Florida, man. I'm in Louisiana. It's still hot as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God I brought a bunch of my ultra salt down here. I'm getting tired.
Oh yeah.
Brought a bunch of my ultra salt down here, which is it's an electrolyte capsule, and I've been using them like crazy. I brought 2 bottles, and I'm almost done with all of them after 6 weeks. Just going out and running every day. I go up on the Mississippi River levee and just run every single day, and it's been working out for me.
I'll definitely have to get on your site and do that. And as you and I also talked when you're on my Fail to Fail podcast, you also got into the coffee game because, well, you found that, as you and I were talking, Starbucks is, you actually informed me of this, Starbucks is the second largest fast food company in the world. Not coffee company because they really don't serve that much coffee, but fast food. And so when you're actually just trying to find regular coffee around, you found that a lot of it didn't meet up to your standards, and so you went out and started a coffee company as well.
Yeah, we call people like Starbucks second wave coffee. Before Starbucks, it was all either whatever you could get from Dunkin' Donuts or anything like that. And then Starbucks and Pete's Coffee Shop, they brought in kind of a second wave. So they introduced us to a better cup of coffee, an Arabica bean. There was no Robusta in there. And the beauty of that was they gave it to us at a pretty good price because they were getting the cheaper Arabica beans, right? And they were making them taste good enough to suck people in. And then guys like me, they call us third wave coffee. People like me or Intelligentsia or Black Rifle or any of these companies who are doing really high-end coffee. People go, well, why your coffee? Why not? It's like, hey, if you like Black Rifle, drink theirs. I have no qualms with that. But when you get into the third wave coffee business, it's a whole different thing. But yeah, Starbucks is not even a coffee company.
No, they're a confection.
It's a fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
Bottom line, they're serving crap. They're serving sugar.
And those lines are ridiculously long. Every one I drive by, it's 20 cars deep. It's just like, why?
I think it's harder to quit drinking Starbucks than it is to quit smoking. I'm just gonna put that out there. I really feel that. I heard you say on Adam's podcast a few weeks ago, and I actually sent you a text on Twitter asking you how to prepare this, and that was the health benefits behind the Knox gelatin. And after you told me how to prepare it. Warm water or cold?
I just do room temperature water because it'll get a little clumpy in
Yes,
there.
that's my point. I made a mistake. If I drink, I just grab a bottle of water out of my refrigerator, and I did a video on my TikTok. Like, if you don't drink this shit quick, it gets lumpy. It's worse than trying to drink a protein shake. But I've been
Yeah, it
doing
gets
it.
lumpy. Yeah.
Or Metamucil.
Yeah. You got to work with it fast.
Yeah.
It's not a medium you want to just have sit around. I can tell you that.
And so, for the casual listeners at home, what is it about the Knox gelatin, and why? Obviously, all gelatins, but Knox gelatin, the flavorless, doesn't have any added sugars to it. But what is the health benefits to that, and why am I crazy enough to keep drinking it?
Wait, hang on just a second. Hang on.
Sure, not a problem.
Honey, I'm doing a podcast. Are you going to bed? Okay, love you. All right, bye.
Oh, that was sweet.
There you go.
But Knox gelatin.
Look, Knox gelatin, just like any kind of bone broth or anything else, you're giving yourself more collagen. Again, if we ate more meat and if we cooked down soup bones the way we used to and everything else, we would get that. No one does that anymore. So we have to take it in. We have to take, I call it taking it in exogenously. So in the wintertime, we make more bone broth.
Yep.
And when we do, we'll break down chicken and just cook it down for 24 hours. We'll do it with beef bones. And when we do, I drink less Knox gelatin. But in the summertime, who wants to sit around and drink bone broth? So I just change over to Knox gelatin, for that time period.
Sounds perfect.
Real quick before we let you go, we're kind of jumping all over the place here, but as I said before, we were so rudely interrupted by Zoom that when a lot of people start getting into a lifestyle change like NSNG, they start to try to pay attention to what they're consuming. And as we are raised in the consumer society, especially one that was, for us who grew up in the 70s and 80s and in the 60s, we're forced to beware of the food triangle, which, as you so justly pointed out in Fat the documentary, that shit's completely wrong. But people start to get really confused and disenchanted when they start actually reading labels and finding out how the label, to me, it seems like the label system was made up less to inform people, but a way to give the manufacturers a way to hide ingredients so they can make their food seem healthier than what it really is. What's the thing that people need to be aware about when looking at nutritional labels?
Well, you're right. There's two labels on anything you buy from the store. Of course, produce won't have it, but any kind of packaged food is going to have two things written on the back. One is called nutrition facts, and that's laughable because there's no fact on the nutrition facts. And that's the one where you see kind of the graph, right?
The official looking graph.
Fat, 4 grams of fat or percentage of fat in this product. So let's say 4.5 grams and then percentage of fat. Protein, 7 grams and then percentage of protein. And then carbohydrates, 12 grams and then percentage of carbohydrates. And you go, okay, that's what I'm looking at because that's the quick facts that they gave me right there, right? But then you look at the ingredients and you go, hang on. There's cane sugar, there's fructose, there is lemon juice concentrate, there is, they'll have sugar listed 5 different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll go, well, how can they only have 12 carbohydrates in this product? There's 5 sugars in here and they're listed high in the ingredients, right? The higher it's listed in the ingredients, that's what most of the product is. Mm-hmm. How can they do that? Well, for each product, if they only put less than 1 gram, like a half a gram, plus they can have a plus or minus that by 2% mistake, they can list it as 0 grams of carbohydrates. That's why you'll see, dextrose, sugar, sucrose, sucralose, cane sugar. they'll list it 8 different ways, and then they're able to lie and say that there's no carbohydrates or very low carbohydrates, when in fact the whole thing is a sugar bomb.
Well,
Did I explain that in a way
yeah,
that makes sense?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it sounds like it all falls within the margin of error, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the margin of error is huge on the side of the manufacturer.
Yeah, especially when you have a plus or minus. If you take all those sugars and make a larger lump sum, your plus or minus is going to be larger, and thus you're going to have a larger number. When you break them down into individual components, and then each one of those gets a plus or minus, you can go on the light side and make it look like the product has less sugar. And the interesting thing I learned from your podcast today, you're talking about the lemon juice. And you're like, well, lemon juice is sour. I wasn't aware of this. I guess when you see lemon concentrate, they're basically boiling the lemon juice down to just basically pure sugar, but then they can put on a label that, oh, it's just lemon juice concentrate.
Yeah, and you think, oh, they're adding something citrusy in here, but it's just sugar. It's another look. You could say sugar cane concentrate.
Yeah.
They did the same thing. They extracted the sugar from the cane and concentrated it into granular sugar. It's exactly the same process. Nothing's different.
Mm.
I don't know, it's kind of going back to
It's
the
horrifying,
food
is what
pyramid.
it is.
Oh, the orange juice is the part of this complete breakfast. No, it's not. It's worse than like I said, a soda. And then like, okay, well then tomorrow I'm going to get up. I'm on my new diet. I'm going to drink an orange juice. I'm going to eat a banana and some oatmeal and get out the door. Well, the banana's full of sugar too, right?
It is. And going back to the orange juice, parents will go, orange juice full of vitamin C. What kid has had scurvy? We're not British on a ship out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. No one's got scurvy, okay? So let's all just relax, number one. Number two, it's nothing but a glass full of sugar. During the Clinton administration, I think it was, don't quote me on that. Quote me on this, Clinton. Who cares? He raped a woman with a cigar. By the way, do you know which cigar he used to do that?
Was it Cuban?
No, it could have been, but it was a Gurkha. The answer you're looking for is Gurkha.
Ah,
See, that's the kind of information you'll get
I
from me
see
that
that.
you won't get from other podcasters.
Gurkha. Gotcha.
He used a Gurkha.
Well-
But, Clinton went about taking soda out of machines in schools nationwide. I applauded the guy, went, great, this is great news. And the very next day, the same companies just put their fruit juice options in
Yep.
there. So Clinton looked like a real hero.
Yep.
And then they just went right behind it and went, okay, now you can have cranberry juice, you can have orange juice, you can have Gatorade,
Yeah,
you name it,
Yeah, exactly.
Accelerate, whatever. We just took soda out.
It's funny you mentioned that. Obviously, you remember when Penn and Teller had their TV show out called Bullshit. It was on HBO.
I do.
They did a whole episode. I'm sure you've probably seen it or you're aware of it, where they went to a school for kids with quote unquote behavioral issues. And one of the things this school did to help fight these behavioral issues is one, they got rid of all vending machines out of their school, and two, they got off of the government supplemented lunch program. And they hired a local chef who went around, got prices down by going to, as previously mentioned earlier, farmers markets to get fresh food. And they found just by changing these kids' diets and making sure there's no vending machines, no sodas in the school, feeding them fresh food daily, like 85 to 92% of the behavior issues at school went away because these kids weren't having behavior problems. They're all just hopped up on sugar and caffeine all the goddamn time.
Nobody in my generation had ADD or ADHD. Nobody was on Ritalin. Nobody was on anything. Yet we were drinking coffee when we were 6 years old going to school. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Nobody was just eating junk food. I remember leaving for school. My parents were both school teachers. They made sure we had bacon and eggs every morning, butter and toast, and just a whole American breakfast. And we weren't rich. And if you could feed 4 kids like that, my parents were school teachers, but we went to school, we were sated, we were able to learn. Every other kid was that way. rich or poor, and everyone was fine. And there were no fat kids, except for JD and Phil. They were fat.
All right.
Have you seen this new commercial? This new catchphrase that I'm hearing, underhydrated. There's this new TV commercial.
No.
Let me see if I found it here. Let me see if I can get some sound up here before I play it. Yeah, here we go. Check us out.
1 in 2 kids is underhydrated. If your child doesn't seem themselves at times, they may not be hydrated enough.
They're dropping a
All
bottle
new
of coconut
plant-powered
water.
Creative Roots gives kids the hydration they need with the fruit flavors they love and 1 gram of sugar. Find new Creative Roots in the kids' juice aisle.
Underhydrated. Sounds like a clever way to get parents to buy this fruit juice. And as you're saying, with their 1% or 1 gram of sugar, it's like they seem that. Are we just trying to scare all these moms into thinking? I mean, when's the last time you seen a kid fall over in the street because he's dehydrated? Underhydrated? That's a new catchphrase we're using?
It doesn't exist. I mean, we've been scaring parents for years. Look, when I was a kid, my mom would kick me out in the summertime in Louisiana from the same house.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of the house. I don't want to see you until it's dinner time, right?
Yep.
And if you needed some water, you would just walk. If a neighbor had a spigot on their side of their house, you would just kind of cup your hands and get a couple of gulps out of their spigot if you weren't close to your house, It was like real hoity-toity if someone left a hose hooked up.
Yeah, right.
Ooh, you can,
Mm-hmm.
have it up to your mouth. But yeah, I mean, nobody worried about hydration when I was a kid. And nobody was underhydrated. When we were thirsty, we drank.
Yep. And when you weren't, you weren't. It's so crazy how the advertisement and these companies, they jump on these catchphrases. And one of them that I noticed, I first noticed on the Carvana commercial, and we talked about on here. We know that advocate is, that's in the ether because of, advocate for LGBTQ, this, that, and the other thing. And I noticed that Carvana now has their customer advocates because, when someone comes to buy a car, you got to go out and protest on their behalf to make sure the bank gets them their loan because they need advocacy to buy the car. Now my mortgage company's doing the same thing. When because I'm in the middle of refinancing my house at a lower rate, I get these voicemails. Yeah, I'm just the customer advocate. It's like, really? We got to bastardize the word advocate just so you guys can feel woke and feel better with your marketing campaigns? What sort of advocacy are you doing on my part?
What's the advocate doing?
Yeah. They're just using it.
It's just another name for salesman.
Yeah, what they're doing is they're diminishing what true advocates do, especially as a foster parent, someone who's adopted a child. When I hear advocate in the foster and in the adoption system, obviously we know there's caseworkers, and then you have what's called the child advocate. That's the person who talks to the child and takes up the child's advocacy when it comes to, if there's issues with the foster parents or going through the system.
Right.
And so you actually have a child advocate whose job it is to advocate on behalf of that child. And so when you have these companies like Carvana or my mortgage company who are now using the word advocate as another word for sales associate, it's just you're downplaying and watering down those terms just so that you can come off looking more woke and feeling good about yourself. It's just underhydrated children. No, it's not a problem. You're just trying to find a way to scare moms into buying your high sugar nonsense instead of just giving them a bottle of water and smack them on the butt and send them on their way.
I noticed how they went out of their way to say it only have 1 gram of sugar. I wish I knew what the product was. I'd pull it up, and we would figure out just how many grams of sugar.
It's called Creative Roots. It's a new drink. Let's see here, Creative Roots.
Creative what?
Roots.
Roots. Okay.
Yeah, Creative Roots. Yeah, the name of the commercial is it's Creative Roots. It's a new saying on that particular commercial they were pushing their coconut water. Yeah, Creative Roots said it's up to 1 in 2 children are not hydrated enough and could be the reason why kids aren't acting themselves during science class.
Hey, it's plant powered.
Ooh.
1 gram of sugar. That's the first thing they give you here. 1 gram of sugar. Taste kids love. Plant powered hydration.
So, well, if plant powered, that means it's vegan, and it's got to be good, right?
Yeah. But you see, they're not giving me the ingredients here.
Yep, that's the way it always goes.
Watermelon lemonade, mixed berry, got your peach mango. Gotta have your peach mango.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
You're not living without peach mango. I want to see the ingredients here.
Yeah, it's probably going to be hidden way down deep. You probably have to go to like to their manufacturer's website, and
About us, products.
it's so crazy how a lot of people have a problem just drinking regular water now. It's like, well, if you're thirsty enough, you'll drink it.
All right, here we go. I've got their ingredient list.
Go on.
Good luck pronouncing this crap. See, Vinny's more versed in these large, crazy ingredient words. But go ahead, give it your best shot.
Here we go. Water, coconut water, concentrate, citric acid, stevia leaf. There's your sugar. Natural flavors, rosemary extract to protect flavor. That's all they've got listed.
Which flavor is it?
That is the coconut water.
Yeah, because it said coconut extract. But as we said previously, with your lemon juice extract, that means you just boil down the coconut water until it's all sugar.
Yeah, whenever it says coconut water concentrate, read sugar. I'm looking at one here called orange pineapple, and it's got orange and pineapple in it. That's just and it's got coconut water and what have you. So yeah, that's just the sugar storm too.
Yeah. So it's primarily water and then sugar storm from the burnt down concentrate. And then, you're sending your kids on their way.
The lowdown on hydration, according to a study published in the American Journal of Public Health, 1 in 2 kids is underhydrated.
Oh God, we gotta do something about this, Vinny. It's a scourge.
Underhydration impacts kids far beyond thirst.
Like, don't say. And this is a generation of kids that are already walking around with freaking water bottles strapped to their ass. That's insane.
This kid, it can really mess with their cognitive development. Oh boy. You got kids?
Yep.
You guys got kids over there, Don? Gordon, you got kids?
Yep.
I unfortunately don't, but
I have
Don's-
I bet my kid's the one that's underhydrated.
Well, you're not unfortunate over there, Gordon. You're very fortunate because your kid has a 1 in 2 chance or a 50-50 chance of being underhydrated.
Yep.
That would not be good.
While we're on the topic of underhydrated kids, you're talking like when you're growing up, ADHD and Ritalin and all that nonsense, and we, equate that to food. One of the things that you made me aware of, which concerns me, is the fact that I guess up until recently, no one, with the exception of alcoholics who had cirrhosis of the livers, had fatty liver disease, but now that's becoming a huge problem with kids because of childhood obesity and all the shit we're feeding them.
Yeah, it wasn't that it didn't happen, but it was virtually unheard of. If someone walked into a hospital with fatty liver disease, 30 years ago, the thought was, oh, this is an alcoholic. Because people, they just didn't see it any other way, right? It just didn't exist. The same with ketoacidosis. That was just, now you could get it if you're in the throes of type 2 diabetes or diabetic, you go into a diabetic coma, ketoacidosis. Alcoholics would get it. Now you have type 2 diabetics getting it all the time. It's crazy what's going on. And everyone's trying to figure out how to fix healthcare, yet we could fix it with diet in 2 seconds.
Yeah, but that's
We
too
can fix
hard.
the problem.
People want a magic pill, and it's, and I'm, as you know, from our last time I talked to you a couple months back, over the last 2.5 years, I'm down 30, 40 pounds. It's hard to tell once you start going to the gym and putting muscle on, your scale goes up the other way. But a lot of times people, and I'm sure you more than anybody running this all the time, it's like, what's the secret? There is no secret. It's the same thing Jack LaLanne's been saying since back in the day. It's eat less, move more. And the perfect example, we're, in Louisiana and Florida, we're coming out of this COVID thing. When the COVID thing was fresh in the news, right? Just happened. Everybody's shutting everything down. Businesses are being shut down. I'm still out running. And I see this great thing happen. I'm seeing families out. and the kids are all on nice new shiny bicycles. You see the husband and the wife out running. You go through the Walmart and the bicycle department's completely sold out. The gym equipment's completely sold out. And you're thinking, great, people finally realize that, especially COVID, affecting people with weight concerns. Now they're finally going to do something about it. And then as soon as the state opens back up, I'm out there in that running trail all by myself again. All these bikes and all this gym equipment showing up on Facebook Marketplace, and no one changed. It wasn't that they were concerned about their health. They were just tired of sitting around their house, and they used that as a short opportunity to, unfortunately, I wish they would have taken that up and continue to go with it. But, it's just a lot of work that people don't want to put the time in.
Yeah, look, I've been here my entire career. I've been doing this for 40 years. People will say to me, I would exercise more if I had the time. Well, throughout COVID, you had all the time in the world.
Mm-hmm.
What were you doing?
Gaining weight.
We learned that more people became alcoholics.
Yeah.
And you were trying to, the thing you were doing on Twitter is when it started was, hey, let's work on the COVID 15 where we lose 15 pounds instead of putting 15 pounds on. And
yeah, I wanted to call it the COVID 5. Instead of gaining 15 pounds over COVID, let's gain 5 pounds of muscle.
yeah.
Yeah, that didn't really catch on.
Well, Vinnie, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with us. Give everybody all your plugs, where they can find you. Do you prefer them to go out on Instagram? We know they can head over to VinnieTortorich.com, but where else can they find you out in the social media world?
Everyone seems to like NSNGFoods.com. That's where we have the world famous ultra fat, and we cannot keep that stuff in stock. People are loving it. We have PureVitaminClub.com, PureCoffeeClub.com. You go check those out. And VinnieTortorich.com. Everything is free at VinnieTortorich.com. You have the free PDF, which I think Gordon has downloaded.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
You
I have.
it's just all there. And of course, you can go check out my book on Amazon. Also, my movie, Fat, a documentary, is on Amazon. That's more than enough plugs.
And
I gave way too many plugs.
And Vinnie is often known for saying that, look, he copyrighted the phrase NSNG to prevent people from bastardizing it to sell nonsense like you see with all the other diets. And so you won't see shelves laden with all kinds of insane crap with NSNG stamped on it just to get it off the shelves, because we all know that when it comes to keto, everything's keto this, keto that, and as you said, it's all nonsense.
It is, and that's why I will not look. I could be rolling thick with Lamborghinis and stuff with the money I've turned down from major companies who want to license the term NSNG, and I'm the only person that put it on one product so far, and it seems to be doing well.
Fantastic. Vinnie, thank you so much for your time. And thank you guys for hanging out with us for another episode of the What's in Your Head podcast. We know we didn't get to the news tonight, but that's all right. And as always, this episode of the What's in Your Head podcast is brought to you by our friends at Computers. Computers has been providing IT solutions for all of Southwest Florida since 2004 and, the rest of the country since 2010. So even if you don't live in Southwest Florida and you need IT support, give them a call at 239-283-1120 or head over to act-capecoral.com. And as long as you have internet, they can log into your system and help maintain it, help clean up all your issues. They help you with two-form authentication, online backups, and antivirus. And as always, if you haven't done so, head over to d-410.com, click on that Patreon link, and support the show that way. Once again, thanks to Vinnie for joining us, and thanks as always to Gordon. And you guys, it's just it's getting late, and we're going to get going. So thank you guys so much, and we will talk to you all next week.